Hi, boys and girls. Do you know what this is? This is the Holy Bible. It's the inspired Word of God. Did you know that the Bible contains 73 books inside? It does. And each book has several different stories. Some of the stories teach us about history. Some of the stories are letters written from the apostles or holy men to the people. And some of the stories are told to teach us an important lesson. That's one of the stories we're going to hear about today. You find it in the first book of Genesis. We're going to learn about the creation story. So are you ready? Well, before the beginning, there was God. And in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was without form or shape, and darkness covered the abyss. And a driving wind swept across the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good. God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Evening came, morning followed, the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a dome in the middle of the waters to separate the waters above from the waters below." And so it was. God created a dome to separate the waters above, like rain and snow, from the waters below, like oceans and rivers, and even the water in your bathtub. God called the dome the sky. Evening came, morning followed, the second day. Then God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered into a single basin so that dry land may appear." And so it was. The water under the sky was gathered into a single basin so that dry land appeared. God called the land the earth, and the water the sea. God saw it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth every kind of vegetation. Let there be plants with seeds in it. Let there be fruit trees with fruit and seeds in it." And so it was. The earth brought forth all kinds of vegetation. There was green and growing things everywhere. There were plants that grew corns and carrots and all kinds of different vegetables. There were fruits like watermelons and strawberries and grapes. There were trees like orange trees and apple trees, and even trees that grew coconuts. There were plants that had flowers and bushes and trees of every kind. There were weeds. And God saw it was good. Evening came, morning followed, the third day. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day from the night. They'll mark the seasons, the days, and the years." And so it was. God created two great lights. The larger light God called the sun. It lit the day. The smaller light to light the night, along with the stars, God called the moon. It marked the seasons, the days, and the years. We keep time this way. God saw it was good. Evening came, morning followed, the fourth day. Then God said, "Let the waters teem with an abundance of living creatures, and let the skies be full of every kind of winged bird." And so it was. The waters teemed with every kind of living creature. There were big creatures. There were little creatures. There were creatures that floated on top. There were creatures that crawled on the bottom. There were big creatures. There were fat creatures and flat creatures. There were creatures with jaws. There were creatures with claws. There were creatures with shells. And there were creatures with scales. There were creatures with arms. And there were creatures with tails. There were all kinds of living creatures that swam the waters. And in the skies, there were every kind of winged bird. There were blackbirds and bluebirds and colorful birds. There were birds with little beaks. There were birds with big beaks. There were talking birds and singing birds and chirping birds. There were big birds and little birds. The skies were full of all kinds of winged birds. And God saw it was good. God blessed the creatures of the sea and the birds of the air. And God told them to be fertile, to multiply, and to fill the seeds and the air. Evening came, morning followed, the fifth day. Then God said, "Let there be every kind of living creature to fill the earth. Let there be wild animals and tame animals and creeping and crawling animals." And so it was. God created meat-eating animals. God created plant-eating animals. God created wild animals. And God created tame animals. God created animals with stripes. God created animals with spots. God created animals with lots of fur. And God created animals with little fur. God created animals with 2 legs. God created animals with 4 legs. And God even created animals with multiple legs. There were animals that hopped and animals that crawled. All kinds of living creatures filled the earth. And God saw it was good. God blessed the creatures of the earth and told them to be fertile and to multiply and to fill the earth. Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our own image and likeness, And so it was. God made mankind in his image and likeness. God created male and God created female. God blessed the people. He told them to be fertile and to multiply and to fill the earth. And God gave mankind dominion, or put them in charge of or control all the creatures of the earth and all the creatures of the sea and all the creatures of the air. He told them to care and to use the water and the land and all the green and growing things. God saw everything he made, and God found it very good. Evening came, morning followed, the sixth day. God looked at everything he made, and on the seventh day, God blessed it and called it holy, because God rested from all of his works. Did you know that all these years later, we still have a holy day? We do. This is the day that Christians go to church, we say our prayers, we spend time with our family, and we do extra good works for people. So let me ask you, what can you do to keep the holy day special? Let me ask you, why do you think that God said each day it was good? Let me ask you, can you look around and see what makes the world good? Where do you see God's goodness? Can you take a few minutes with your teachers and your friends or your parents to talk about what God made that was good? Thank you. See you soon.